Welcome back, everybody. And with us now, we have very interesting wealth tech startups that are going to showcase themselves. Before that, I would like to introduce to you our juries. We'll have Dr. Eric Poon, who is the Executive Vice Chairman of AFO. He started his career in private equity and asset management 26 years ago and specializes in managing teams globally and investing in new economy champions. Then we have Ms. Karena Belin, co-founder and CEO of WHub and co-founder and COO, CFO of AngelHub. Karena is passionate about helping startups succeed. She successfully co-founded WHub and AngelHub with her forever partner and associate, and quite often mistaken for her, Karen Fazam. Together they have Karen Conte, and together they are on a mission to empower startups to drive wealth and economic growth. Lastly, Mr. Usman Ahmad, who's the Group Chief Information Officer of BC Technology Group, who are also the parent group of OSL. Usman is a senior financial services IT executive with more than 2 decades of experience in investment banking, regulatory compliance, and control oversight. Over the course of his career, he has held various senior positions in tech, leading financial services companies in London, New York, and Hong Kong. And prior to BC Group, he was with HSBC as global head of fixed income derivatives technology. So thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for joining us. And now I will pass it on to Dr. Maayana Weissman, who is the CEO and founding and scientist at Hedge-Tech. Dr. Maayana, would you like to share your screen, please?
Okay, good afternoon. I hope that you hear me because we have some connection problems. This is the presentation of Hedge-Tech to the world.
Dr. Maayana, sorry, your voice is having a bit of tech
Thank you very much for inviting us. I'm Maayana Weissman. I'm the founder of...
Could you just refresh your screen once, please? We are not able to see your screen. I will try to... No worries.
I'm sorry. Can you see that?
We can see you, but you're breaking up.
Yeah. Connection is not good.
Right, let me share the presentation you sent, right? And then we can have you speak through it. Is that okay?
Okay, so you share the presentation and I will speak. Yes, I will tell you when I want to move a
Yeah,
page.
1 second, please.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just give us a second and then we'll be ready with it.
Sure, thank you very much. טוב, שומעים ברור, נשמע אותם. שומע אותי? הוא שומע מצוין. מה?
שומע נורא מצוין. או התשתית היא כנראה לא מובנת.
Perfect. Let me share my screen. Can you see the screen now? Dr. Maayana, please start your presentation and I will change the slide as you demand.
Okay, so thank you again for inviting us. I'll move to the second page. I'll speak a few words about Hedge-Tech. We are leaders in the Israeli market for 20 years. We are vendors of risk management platforms, both in the front and middle office solutions. They serve as regulatory solutions and solutions to portfolio managers. We are also vendors of risk data that comes as input into our solutions. And we do consulting. Some of our major consulting projects were to the Israeli regulator and to the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. Our customers come from the financial sector. They are banks, insurance companies, mutual funds, asset managers, and exchanges. They include leading financial institutions across these sectors, and they manage more than $200 billion through our platform. And we have offices both in Israel and in Berlin. Below, you can see a partial list of our customers. This list includes 3 of the leading insurance companies in Israel, the leader in portfolio management in Israel, and a digital bank. I move now to the next page. Our significant advantage is, on one hand, decreasing complexity in operation, and on the other hand, improve the ability. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please continue.
Okay. And on the other hand, improve the ability to have insight and to do logical analysis over the results. And we do this by the following 4 components of our engine. First component is the no-code ETL, which allows the user to get data from multi-sources and do some complex calculations over these sources in order to complete its data. Another component is the no-code modeling. It's quite frequent that the user needs to do a different modeling, even for the same position in different contexts. For example, one context is your internal model, and the other context is the regulation environment. So these 2 components shortens the time of implementation significantly. I would say that our solution takes like 25% of time in implementation relative to our competitors. So it reduces time both during the implementation time and in the ongoing process. It reduces errors, and not less important, it allows the user to use internal models very easily, and this enables higher return on equity. Another component is the financial integrity engine. It is very important for risk managers to understand where the errors come from. They are really concerned about the quality of the data and the quality of the reports, and if they are not, they get huge fines. See Citibank that in 2020 beared $400 million fine due to problems with his risk reports to the regulators. So they are really concerned about it, and our engine supplies the ability to understand where the errors come from and to compare your current report to your previous report and understand where the changes come from. Last but not least is the custom book structure. Our engine allows almost absolute flexibility in the book structure, in the structure of the report. And this has 2 advantages. It allows you to do logical analysis on one hand, and it allows you to have consistency across systems. Let's move to the next page, please. I would like to demonstrate now how Hedge-Tech adds value across every step of the process. And I will demonstrate it. We have here 6 steps, and I will give examples for 3 of these steps: for data collection, for pre-processing, and for strategy development. So first, let's go to the data collection example. Can you move to the next page, please? Okay. So with the data collection, I said we have no-code ETL, and this is an example how the engine can read complex external data to complete position data. So suppose your problem is that your data doesn't include the spread of positions, and you need to get it from external tables. And these external tables are quite complicated. If you have to derive the data from 2 tables, and to manipulate to sort of add the spreads of both. And these tables, the data in these tables is conditional on several variables, the product type, the rating, the size, the currency, and time to maturity. Let's look, for example, at the first external table. So the first line says that if the product type is A and the rating is 1, then the spread is 0.05 and you have to divide it by 100. So you have to combine the data from the two external tables, and you can do it very easily. Like you spend, these tables can be extremely long, and you can do it very easily within a few hours with our engine, while the other possibility is to get IT support. And so you don't need IT support, neither during the implementation process, neither in the ongoing time. And this is a huge advantage. Let's move to the next page in order to demonstrate a no-code modeling. Okay. So our no-code modeling allows you to iterate between instrument modeling in current and different runs. And let's look at 3 examples in which you need different modeling. The first one is behavioral modeling. So suppose you are a bank and you need to model a checking account and for $450, and you would like to model it as a cash flow distribution of time or over time, given some statistics that the bank made. Very easy. Second example, regulation modeling. I spoke about it before. Suppose with your internal model, you would like to model yielding real estates by cash flow. This is quite common, but if you do the solvency regulation, which is the regulation for insurance companies, you need to do it by value, so you treat it like a stock. So handling these two modeling in the same platform is not a problem. Our platform makes this process very easy. Very easy. Okay. Okay. I understand that I need to finish. So
Yes,
let's go to the last page. We were talking about strategy and doing strategy on the paper. So again, we have this solution. Suppose you sit in the meeting with your colleagues or with your clients and you want to check in real time and your strategy. So you look at the whole report, you choose nodes, and the engine gives you indication which nodes you will benefit from. So suppose you choose to increase your investment in European stocks and decrease your investment in corporate bonds in Israel. So you just change the node amount, you push the button, and you see the results. The whole report will change within a second, and then you can do several strategies and compare with the previous strategies. And I would like to recap and conclude again, speaking about our advantage, and this is reducing complexity in operation and increasing the ability to understand and get insights from your results. That's it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maayana. Let me move to the jury. Let's start with Karena. Do you have any comments to talk about the solution, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Maayana. Great presentation. Looking at what your product provides, I think you summarized it very well. It's quite impressive that a very powerful engine is translated into a great and simple user experience and interface, which I guess in terms of risk management, where the human component is always key. So I think that is looks very, very powerful from the quick overview that I could grasp. I could also see that you're already, very established over 20 years in Israel and have expanded to the European market. So when you look into market expansion, obviously, I would be very curious to understand when Asia is on your roadmap. And, we were encouraged also to look into potential, opportunities for enhancement of, and with that, I would not too much poke on the very powerful engine, but maybe rather like more information from you on your business model and your go-to-market strategy in terms of partnerships and how you typically enter new markets. So I would be very curious to learn more about that.
Okay, thank you.
Usman?
I don't know, Mashir, if we get a straight question, a straight answer to the questions right now on the spot, or?
Probably more comments. We can touch base post
Okay.
because we're running a little behind on time. That's more
Sure.
easy.
So I'll definitely make
you.
sure I'll get to you on your roundtable then.
Okay, sure, thank you.
Thank you.
This is what I understood that I need to answer later. Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
thank you. Usman?
Sure. So thank you very much for the presentation. I think the area that I found most interesting was the low code aspect. So one of the big challenges around platforms is around integration of data and pulling all of that data in. So I thought the approach you described about being able to aggregate that data and do it without a large degree of technology resources, I think is a compelling part of the product. And obviously some of the reporting, the ability to provide some of that output very rapidly, I think would lend itself very well in the very rapidly moving wealth tech space, and certainly for funds to understand what their clients are doing and understand where the products are going. So they were the kind of key areas for me. I would also concur with Karena in terms of the go-to-market strategy, and particularly your intentions around Asia. Very, very fast-growing wealth space across Asia Pacific. So I think it would be interesting to understand a little bit more about where that goes offline, perhaps.
Okay, thank you.
Eric?
Thank you. No, I think the previous two judges share a lot. I'll just supplement a few ideas of mine. I got three different comments. One, I think in Asia, there are different languages. So I think bear in mind, unlike Israel, other places, I think sorting out how the different languages would blend into your solution, I think that would be important. Secondly, there are different regulators in Asia. So again, how do you weigh into which market to tap first to enhance your ROE? I think that would be also important. Thirdly, is basically whether it's a plug and play with the local data providers. That would make it easier with the local PMs is great. For example, overseas is always Bloomberg, Reuters, etc. In China, it could be something called WIN or different data providers. So how do they link it up easily and plug and play to make it a complete SaaS solution would be key. In terms of key markets, I have my idea, obviously China, Hong Kong, Japan, Singapore, Korea, those would be the key ones to tap first. But yeah, those would be kind of my key sharing languages, regulators in Asia, which market to go first, and plug and play with the data providers. I hope that was helpful.
Okay, yes, very safe. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, hope to meet you all around the round table.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maayana, and thank you, Hedge-Tech. We will now have Anastasia present for MioTech. Anastasia, could you please unmute yourself and share your screen?
Okay.
Can you see my screen? I'm sure. Can you hear me and
We can see your screen. Sorry? Yeah. Yes, now it's fine.
all right, perfect. Let me know when I should start.
Yes, please. You're good to go now. You have about 7 minutes and you can start off.
Perfect. Thank you so much for inviting MioTech to this demo, and thanks a lot for everyone who's still staying around with us. I know it's pretty late in Asia. My name is Anastasia. I've actually recently joined MioTech on the business development side of things. Today, I will be showing you our flagship product, Amy. Apart from Amy, we also have WealthLink. It is a platform that provides data on high net worth individuals in mainland China, and it is mainly tailored to private banking and private wealth management firms. However, today the time is not enough to show you both products, so I'm going to show you Amy, which stands for Advanced Market Intelligence. Amy, as you can see, is an ESG data platform that has ESG analytics about over 800,000 companies in Greater China. So we have a full coverage on listed companies that are listed in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, and the majority of companies that are Chinese companies listed in the US. As you can see, you can type in the Chinese company name or a ticker. And we're actually currently expanding our database to companies listed in the European Union and North America. As Karen pointed out a couple of hours ago, there has been a lot of capital invested into fintechs recently in the recent years. And actually, it's pretty good news that in the past 2 months, there has been investments from HSBC and Moody's into MioTech. Currently, MioTech is only 4 years old. It's a homegrown Hong Kong startup, but we're expanding relatively quickly. We have now a big R&D team in Shanghai and sales offices in Beijing and Singapore. So hopefully, with the help of our investors and with their support, we're going to expand our data to other overseas companies. For now, we cover over 280 unique data points. There are about environmental, social, and governance aspects of those Chinese companies in their businesses. The platform covers, as I mentioned, over 800,000 companies. Those, apart from listed companies, there are also private companies that are somehow related to those listed companies. So it could be their subsidiaries, suppliers, their clients, and all of that data about them that is out there in the web is, with the help of machine learning technology, is gathered in our platform and is taken from an unstructured, really non-comprehensive form into this user-friendly platform. Let's take a look, for example, at different metrics. So you can see at the moment it is showing us environmental penalties from each company from different industries. If we click on vehicle recalls, we can see which company has gotten the most units recalled. So that is Guangzhou Automobile Group. I click on it and it takes me to the company page where I can see among all of the other environmental, social, and governance metrics, I see there in particularly vehicle recalls page, which helps me as an asset manager or as a corporate that wants to analyze other companies from mainland China to compare our data, ESG data, to the industry peers. And this information has actually been captured from publicly available sources. So we call this alternative data sources, which means a third party had published something about that company. So if we see here, we actually could go into the data source. So for example, this data source tells us that there are 40,737 vehicles that had been recalled. If we click on the source, it actually takes us to the original page where the data came from. So you can see over here, I don't know if you can see, it's 40,737. And similarly to that type of evaluation for ESG under social that we just looked at, there's also different categories. Let's say if we click on lawsuits, that would be a court's website or any other publicly available information about lawsuits of this company. Obviously, companies wouldn't want to publish information on their website about the lawsuits. So that's why we call it an alternative data source, which is a third party that is publishing information about the company. So apart from lawsuits, there could be also companies' information on their employee satisfaction. So, similarly to Glassdoor, which is an international platform, in China, there are also social media platforms that have helped people review companies and rank them in terms of the employee satisfaction and their general employment experience. So our technology uses NLP, which stands for natural language processing, and knowledge graph technologies, as well as image recognition technologies to actually capture all of that data and analyze those websites and put that into the platform. So that is alternative data source that I've just mentioned. The other data source that is obviously a lot more accurate and formalized is a self-disclosed information. If we click on KPIs and practices, that would be here. So that is everything that the company itself that we're looking at, which is Guangzhou Automobile Group, everything that the company had published themselves. So actually, we're trying to collect more data and more data points about the company. Those rows that you see blank are actually the information that the company hadn't disclosed before. So remember, our technology is capturing everything that's otherwise is publicly available on the web. So that just means that we're currently monitoring the situation about the company and trying to capture even more information regarding their ESG analytics. And the third type of data that we also take into account in our system is social media and news, which is a lot more frequent, and it helps asset managers and corporates evaluate the company's performance real time. Then all of these three different data sources are taken into account when we give companies an ESG score based on our proprietary methodology. But I think the most valuable part that I personally like the most about the system is that it maps out all the different relationships between those companies, the information about which we have been able to capture, and it puts it into a nice visualized form where we can see all the interdependencies between suppliers, shareholders, investors into this company, and their clients as well. So that type of data platform that provides ESG analytics and helps asset managers manage their risks and analyze Greater China-based companies is what we do. I don't want to take too much of your time this evening. Again, appreciate that everyone stayed around. I've seen a lot of attendees today in the platform, so thank you guys all for joining.
That was perfect. On dot 7 minutes. Well done. Let me start here with Eric, looking at the Greater Bay Area as well as what MioTech has been providing. Your views, please.
Yeah, I think this is very relevant. I mean, obviously, I think as part of the Greater Bay Area, obviously is extremely fit, but I guess how would that expand beyond China? Reason being, I think these Chinese company data could be very relevant for the rest of Asia or even people outside of China looking at the Chinese company. So that's point one. I think the room to expand is definitely interesting. Obviously, the languages and different issues we still have to deal with. Secondly, how do these data link up to the indexes? ESG indexes around the world, the UNPLI standards, how do they link it up? Whether that could be beneficial to the index company and whether you guys could help based on the data to work with the index company to move things further of the initiative. That would be great. I mean, I'm one of the United Nations advisors, and I think even the UN and UNPLI and different things could find this very useful. Third point, and my last point is, if you pair up an AI engine and look at the pattern to derive commercial value of these ESG data, you could even make it a ESG fund of some sort. Basically, ESG factors equate to equity value, and over the medium and longer run, that could be interesting quant model as well to take it one step further. But beyond that, I think it's a very good data, because I think ESG data are very tough to get. So my 3 points are basically kind of more longer term development. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Usman?
Yeah, so thank you. That was a great presentation. I think one of the things that I suppose liked the most about it was the ease of use. So browser-based, looked pretty simple to navigate, very well represented in terms of the logic through. So I thought that was a really, really nice mechanism for people to be able to run through that. I was interested in a little of the data provenance. So I thought it was great that you could link through to the sources of data. I thought that was really, really quite powerful. Obviously, we've had a recent outgoing US president who coined the term for the rest of the world, fake news. So being able to verify or even weight data sources to provide more of an insight, I thought maybe an area of further development, or maybe that's already in there, but obviously with the time we didn't have to to necessarily share that more broadly. And my final point was really the score that comes out. So you represented the score and what it means. I suppose the weighting or the scoring methodology would be an interesting thing to expose it a little bit more, so people could understand how those scores manifest themselves, and then understand how they use those for signaling. So whether it's investment opportunities, whether it's changing portfolio, or as Eric described, maybe there's a broader kind of data signaling and fund structure that could benefit from the underlying data in the platform. But very impressed. Look good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karena, your thoughts?
Yes, thank you very much, Anastasia. Great presentation. And I just want to say again, congratulations for HSBC coming on your most recent Series B round. I think in general, very impressive investors. And I can see that these strategic partnerships really, I guess, help you to develop very quickly in the Greater Bay Area. If my notes are correct, like you have over 1 million public and private companies already part of your portfolio. I think in terms of key strengths, I would really echo what the other judges had said in terms of the powerfulness and the use of and the ease of use, for the user. I would dig into 3 particular areas during the roundtable to better understand and if there are areas for improvement. So on the one hand, yes, I think it's very powerful score and a lot of things that the user can do, and it seems very user friendly. But I mean, you are the expert of your own product, so you walking us through, it looked very, very easy to understand where to click and where to nail deeper and where to get the source of the data. I was just wondering for an inexperienced user, how easy the platform actually is, given that it is so powerful. It seems very, very holistic. Fully echo on data quality. So I'm not going further down into there, but, how do you have certain assessment of different type of sources that you're looking into? How do you weigh self-declared information versus information that you get from the internet? And again, do you have different scores for, certain data sources such as Bloomberg or so with a higher score versus, maybe less proven data providers. And the last thing, and I think Eric also mentioned that a bit, what is really the return on investment for the company itself on having a certain score? Because with that, you can incentivize the companies really on wanting to improve, right? Because at the end of the day, I think it all starts by creating a visibility and awareness, which is great, but then you want companies to act on, right? And we want them to improve their ESG and the overall impact on our economies. And last, I think we always talk about potential expansion, right? So out of the Greater Bay Area, I was wondering if, some markets with very strong regulatory requirements for company to report on data might be a good idea. And I mean, originally coming from Europe and knowing that there are very strong restrictions on, environmental considerations. So that might be a potential market you will find very interesting, maybe because of the sheer quantity and quality of data available in that area.
Thank you, Karina. We're largely expanding in Europe as well.
Great. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Anastasia, and thank you for the jury for great insights. We will now move to our next presentation, which will be given by Calvin Shen on Hex Trust. Calvin, over to you. You'll have 7 minutes, and post the session with Calvin, we will have the jury comments and then go into networking. So we are running a little over time, but I'm sure you have enjoyed the conference, and I hope you can stay back for the conversation post the sessions. Thank you. Calvin, over to you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. And thank you for AWTF for inviting us. And I know I'm the last one standing your way, so I'll make sure this is worth your while. My name is Calvin Shen. I head the sales and business development team at Hex Trust. Hex Trust was born 3 years ago, homegrown right here in Hong Kong. We are a digital asset custodian, focusing exclusively on institutional clients such as the banks, the private banks, wealth advisors, family offices, high net worth individuals. We are fully licensed here in Hong Kong, as well as in Singapore and Germany, where we are expanding into Europe this year. We actually deploy our platform in 2 folds. One is a technology play, as in we built this platform from the ground up. Therefore, we can offer software as a services solution to the likes of private banks or commercial investment banks, where they use our infrastructure and offer our service to their respective clients. Secondly, because we're a licensed entity, we can offer third-party independent custody solutions to the likes of family offices or hedge funds that actually require an independent gatekeeper to their clients' assets. So we can do both ways. Our mission is to enable traditional financial institutions to come into this exciting asset classes. And with that, we certainly have help along the way with strategic partners like IBM and SIA. So without further ado, I will now go over to the platform, which you'll see on your screen. So every authorized user of our client, so in this view that I'll be playing is someone from a private bank, for example. So I'm a banking employee here. I was able to log in the platform. And the first thing that you'll see are your digital asset holdings, right? So anything from Bitcoin, for example, Ethereum, you'll see exactly kind of the available balances and its value here in US dollar term. So right here, you know that you have quite a few coins in custody worth a total of 1.1 million US dollar as a portfolio over value. For our platform, we currently support 95% of the crypto market cap, as well as various security token standards on permission blockchain. On the left-hand side, you'll see 8 different tabs. So ranging from Andrew Johns all the way down to Stephen Lee. So these are what we call sub-accounts. And sub-accounts are quite important in the crypto land, because unlike exchanges where typically they might use omnibus account, meaning they aggregate all client assets in one, we employ this concept of sub-accounts where we basically provide a segregated wallet by client type, meaning that assuming Andrew Johns is a high net worth client of mine, I would basically create a sub-account for Andrew Johns specifically, whereby Andrew Johns would have his own private keys to the wallet. And therefore, what that means is any transactions will be visible on the blockchain. And this is important from a regulatory, compliance, auditing, and client reporting perspective. So, a private bank would have something like a sub-account for their high net worth clients. A commercial bank, they might have, Hex Demo as kind of a treasury account. Or if you're a hedge fund, you can have, use trading account, long exposure account. Really, the flexibility is yours to see how you want to use this function. If I'm obviously compliance is very important. So meaning as a compliance user at the bank, I can actually go to our address verification view. So you will see something like this. Because we are a licensed entity ourselves, every incoming transaction to our custody platform will be subject to AML reporting and monitoring. So in this example, this is an Ethereum address that's about to be deposit assets from our client to potentially Hex custody. In this particular case, you see the compliance status is pending because there's a risk-rated scoring system that's already integrated. It shows a 59 score between 0 to 100, 100 being the highest risk. So this shows a median. Therefore, in our system, we automate set up such that a compliance officer would need to manually review and approve this potential address. And this risk score, it kind of gives you a breakdown of what's negative, for example, dark market, ransom scam, etc., to some of the positives. So the idea here is that a compliance officer would now have a more informed decision on whether to deny or approve such a transaction from coming to the platform. Now, recall that our platform is designed for institutional investors. So we already have user roles set up such that it provides strict segregation of duty. The idea is that no one single person should be able to move client assets out of the platform. So I'm going to go through a withdrawal process right now. And it typically will require 3 different user roles in live production. So I'm user role number 1 right now, whereby it's what we call initiator. Initiator is kind of like an operations person that's been instructed to withdraw client assets, for example. So I click on withdraw. Accounts, these are one of the 8 sub-accounts that you saw earlier. So I'll pick one of them, Hex Demo. Only the assets that are in this wallet will show up. In this case, I'll use Ethereum. Wallet type, 0 key is our proprietary technology. By technicality, it's a warm wallet. And you'll see why it means that it's a secure, as a cold wallet, but with an access time of, call it 1 minute or so, which I will show you shortly. Assume 0.1 ETH, that's currently worth 125 US$. Note, this is purely for internal note-taking purposes. We have a concept of address book. So this is where you denote where you want this as 0.1 ETH to withdraw to. So you can do a simple copy and paste of your address if you like. Or we have a concept of whitelisting, whereby kind of similar to the compliance screen just now, if you've gone through the compliance process, it's been approved to be okay, it's free from any AML or any type of illicit activities, you can actually whitelist that such that it's compliance approved. And secondly, you no longer have to copy and paste. And so in this case, I'll use a demo 2, and the address has already been whitelisted there. Transaction fees where you can customize gas fee, and this is Ethereum specific. Review withdrawal, switch to 2FA code. Obviously, everything that we do has a security component to it. So in order to move ahead, I need to enter a 2FA to confirm this request. So that's user role number 1, right? So after this person's done, a notification automatically went to user role number 2, which is what we call an approver. Approver are really designed for like a supervisor type of management type role. And on my iPhone screen, I don't know if you guys can see on my camera, it's probably too small to see, but It's basically a push notification that I receive on my iPhone. This app works with Android-based phone as well. Basically, I receive everything that I need to know about the transaction: date, account type, quantity, IP address, recipient address. The idea is that I should know everything about the transaction right from my iPhone screen, so anywhere in the world with internet connection. And there's only 2 buttons. You can deny or approve the transaction. So I'll click approve. User role number 2 is done. We move to a third and final step. The third step is what we call an operator. So operator is basically the final gatekeeper into releasing the transaction to blockchain where it becomes immutable. So we would use, what we've done is we use the YubiKey, which is on my screen, kind of a HSM device that's looks like a USB thumb drive, but it's actually a USB device where we use it as a multi-quorum authentication scheme. So what I mean by that is in this quorum that's customizable, it's 2 out of 5, meaning that upon onboarding, we will provide 5 different keys to different members of your organization, and such that 2 out of 5 people need to sign this transaction in order to confirm the transaction. So you can see on the screen right here highlighted, that's one authentication by my colleague. And now I will plug this key to my laptop. Now it turned blue. I click send key. Yes, authenticate. And in this kind of split second where it says unwrapping the zero key wallet, that split second, all the transactions were sent to our IBM Linux 1 hardware security module, which is rated FIS 140 level 4, best in class HSM that in partnership with with IBM. And from the bank's perspective, the withdrawal is completed. So right now, what you see on your screen is just waiting for finality on the blockchain.
I'll have to request you to wrap up in 30 seconds.
Sure.
If you don't mind, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. And all the transaction that I just did was recorded. Transaction hash is already on the blockchain. And from your bank's perspective, your job is finished. So with that, I will pause my session, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you so much. Let's start with Usman. Your views, please.
Sure. Thank you, Calvin. This is very close to my heart because quite core to our own business. So looks good. Some of the things I picked up on, and I won't go too into detail. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. But in terms of development aspects, one of the big things that's been going on over the course of the last couple of years, since probably middle of 19 now, when FATF announced the travel rule requirements. It was an area that, maybe you didn't get a chance to, but a critical area for the development of the industry more generally. Maybe, again, an opportunity to expand and really delve into some of the solution that's required for really cross-border, or even, frankly, within transfers between virtual asset service providers, including yourself as a custodian. One of the other things that I think was really positive, the sub-account structures that you mentioned. I think lots of people, are talking about the adoption of institutions, banks, wealth managers, private banks, and many of them will have relatively complex entity structures or account structure or approval flows. So I thought that was well done. Account structures, and a question I would have in terms of drilling in further would be the flexibility around that. If when BlackRock come on into crypto, and they've got hundreds of funds around the world, how would that be configured or set up? And then the final piece was really you touched upon 2 business angles. One as a third-party custodian, obviously one selling the solution to institutions. I suppose at any point in time, are those in conflict really? So your broader business model, how you move forward. My personal feeling, and I'll share it right now, is that the space is new and it's moving, and frankly, the opportunity to educate, I think, as Henry pointed out in one of the previous panels, and to help bring institutions along the curve is critically important. So I applaud you for that. And
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Karena?
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you very much for a great presentation. And once again here as well, for a Hong Kong-based company in such short amount of time, scaling that significantly. I think some of the key strengths, particularly actually in the business model itself, are your strong partnerships once again with IBM and I think with SIA, which really allowed you to enter the European market quite significantly. And I think SIA is actually up for acquisition soon. So anyway, I think that's very powerful. I kind of like had the same type of question probably as Usman, in the sense of really, is that more like a plug and play solution for the institutional investors, which again, one of the other key strengths is that you're actually broadening the pie. I just want to leverage kind of like, again, what Usman mentioned. I think it's great to see that you really allow traditional institutional investors to come on board into the crypto scene and really enlarge in that, because that will definitely drive further adoption. But the question really here is, again, what is your intervention, and is your business model mainly on, providing that plug and play solution, or, what is your intervention in that? I think the other question that I really had, I'd like to dig deeper, is you mentioned that it's not only cryptocurrencies, right, but also other type of digital assets. So I would be really interested in what type of digital assets you're already covering. And last but not least, in terms of market expansion, right? So you are already in Europe, so we're already here in Hong Kong very strongly. I guess another key market that is on your roadmap is Singapore. I don't know, the last news I had is that you were applying for being part of the sandbox of the MAS. I'm not sure where you stand on that, but I think that seems to be a smart move. So thank you very much, Calvin.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Eric, last word.
Thank you. No, 3 quick points. One, I think how seamless the integration is to the non-crypto custodians, the JP Morgan, the Citi, because on the 2B side, often they have been using these JP Morgan Citi for years for those custodians. I'm sure you figured that out, but I think that point from 2B perspective is key. Second point, 2C, the system integration for a high net worth individual. How does that statement blend into their regular UBS statement? What about their HSBC premium or private banking account? So from an individual perspective, I was working for a private bank many years ago, and frankly, those ultra high net worth have 10 bank accounts, 10 different bank statements, and then you blend in the crypto ones. So it's actually a whole lot. So how does that work for them? And also a sub point is that these wealth individuals often use external third-party investment advisors and consultants. So how does that info feed into those third-party investment consultants? That would be also an interesting play. Last point from me, integration with the crypto exchanges. I was on the stage yesterday with Hong Kong BitX, which is, as you may know, they're applying for SFC license this year in Hong Kong. So how does that blend into with the Hong Kong with the Hong Kong BitX and other crypto exchanges to make all the STO ecosystem a wonderful and seamless ecosystem from a user perspective? I think that would be quite interesting, not to mention various global exchanges in the future, the licensed one and the non-licensed one all over the world. So in summary, the 2B perspective, to C, and also linking up with the regulators and exchanges. That would be my humble 2 cents.
Great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And right, for the audience, please note, we will now be moving to the networking session where we'll have roundtables for each of our startups, or rather WealthTech companies who have presented. Please join the roundtables, and post that you can also do 1:1 speed networking. So we'll do about 20 minutes of roundtables, 10 minutes per table. So you can sit down at the roundtable and chat with the respective companies. And then we will swap that after 10 minutes. So we hope we can rotate after each 10 minutes. Thank you. And once again, thank you to all of you for joining this session. We appreciate all your support. In particular, we'd like to thank our gold sponsors, OSL, who have been tremendous in their support, along with our co-hosts, Association Family Offices. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my co-organizers, Sharishi from Nasya Media, who's been behind the scenes but put in a lot of effort and tremendous work, and my associate, Angel Hong, who has been the backbone of the whole event. So thank you, everybody. Thanks.